Okay, so I was assaulted when I was 10 years old, leaving me pregnant with a child that went up to 3.5 weeks pregnant to about 14 weeks pregnant. I was in between that far along. And what happened was that he jolted me so bad that my nerve damage right here went up to my spine and shot straight through of a nervous system damage, calculating that I would never have kids, right? Because my spina bifida. Spinal bifida is a well-known disease back in hereditary diseases, right? Well, the thing is, it wasn't hereditary, it was an assault. See, in hell, they keep saying it's hereditary when it's their fault. Say it's hereditary because they don't want to know what ghosts do. But this was not a ghost, this was a physical person, a physical being that assaulted me and hurt me so bad that my nerves right here got torn at 355 degrees. And if I go to the hospital and tell them exactly which hip injury that they did and the sapota, which is right here on my side of my leg, let me show you. Right here on the side of my leg, I got a turquoise spot that damages and twitches every 17 minutes. Because of that, that proves that I'm damaged all the way through here to here, circulating where the kids would be, that the kids I would get pregnant with would go through here. And now they can't because they fractured it, right? But when I got older, somebody hit the nerve right here, causing a friction to where the nerve could go back into place and then at least on the side rather than where it was, causing me to get pregnant again. So when he damaged me, it hit nerve damage, causing me to have fracture issues in my sleep where I couldn't process children. And then there's two other injuries on my leg and subposia, which is here and here, that are damaged to the fractures caused by the mental illness it gave me, right? When it wasn't a mental illness, in fact, it was brain damage. They left me with a full teacup right here because I was too young to be on drugs. I was 10 years old. They threw a drug in my system through my elbow here and sliced and diced me 555 because of this spot here is an unknown spot for Saposia, which is a shaped object that goes through you and it slices through your skin and it causes a fracture throughout your whole body, saying that he cut me up in so many ways that a normal person can't live after that. He used this little sharp object and pushed it in my arm here and then twisted my elbow incorrectly. Let's just say he left me with physical damages that most humans do not have. He took string and tied it against my elbows here and sliced my arm up with it. In my sleep, he paralyzed my body. After he did that, he tied my arm and wrist twice in a cauterized location right here because I have fractures adding up to the time that he did it, that I was left with damages all over my arm, fracturing it. And then my legs have fractures as well. Damages of fractures that have been there for over 20 years. These are comatose reactions that cause memory issues and well known for shutting people's systems down, where they can't recall or remember the damages that happened to them. So it's very common that a person can forget that this happens. So we got supposedly this disease, right? That they came out with, a mental disease saying she has psychotic episodes, when that was actually just from a fracture that he left damaged right here, turning her neck this way and crocking it back with weapons of sharp objects, strings and stuff, pulling her head back like this and choking her back. And he also then later on took another object right here and sliced her chest up. He sliced it up with a weapon called topoto, which is a weapon this small and it prickles out into like a little thin blade and cut it right up. And then when he did that, he left her with scars and tissues underneath her chin. And he realized later on, he didn't care right now, because he kept going, slicing her up here, and then slicing her here, leaving her cut up all over her body with cuts and damages of paralyzed diseases and stuff, making her paralysis come out. She had paralysis all over her body that numbed her out and cured her of the illness that it was bringing by these slights that they cut her with. Then he took a elbow object and took this and slammed her like this right into the arm and broke her arm, leaving her with fractures that later on in her life she has problems moving around and adjusting to life because they scarred her so bad. There's also damages on her kneecap that she has been having for many years right here because he punched her multiple times right here, stabbing her over and over with weapons and stuff. He tilted her left side of her arm and her head at the same time, doing this, and then punched her repeatedly like this over and over and over, and then beat on her face multiple times, leaving scars and tissues all over her face. And then he took and snapped her nose out of place to make it look odd. If you look at her nose, you'll see how it's fractured just a little bit this way. See that fracture? It's hard to see, but you can see the tilt right here. And then he took a heavy object, a metal object, and punched her head with it, going like this, with an object. And she was only 10 years old when this happened. Next, took a object right here and beat the shit out of her side with clampers, these little sharp objects that clamp shut, smashed her ovaries up with cauterized objects and beat the crap out of her in a basement with toy objects and other objects in the basement, all because she said one word. Where am I? Because he thought he knocked her out completely. She didn't wake up for several hours after this, finding out that she didn't even know who she was at this time. She passed out for over 17 hours trying to figure out what she was doing, where she was from, and who she was. And this happened when she was about 2 years old. Two, no, wrong age. 10. She was 10 years old. Yeah, I miscalculated. 10, 2, yeah, about 10 years old. They keep miscalculating. And if you look at the scar, you can see the date right here of how far along it would have been. See right here, if you count all the way down, you can see how long ago it was. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. It was in between 30 years from now. It was less than 30, but you get it. It's super calculated because she was trying to calculate every dash. But the years go up to about there, and it's actually 27 years ago because that's what I remember. But with the paralysis that happened, it numbs out this part, making you miscalculate this part a little bit. It's very common. It's a twitch. Sometimes her face twitches because of the numb feeling that it gives from the busted nose. See, he busted her nose when she was a child. And then if you look right here, she has itching and swelling always. That's because the assault as well. She has other damages that are left on her body for the last 27 years to 30 years. That since this happened, she is now 38 years old. So I think it's 20 years ago. 28 years ago. Yeah, it'd be 28 years ago. But yeah, the guess is pretty close to it. See, she gets pain constantly right here. It reminds her of all the damages they did to her that night. It was like one person was there. There was 2 or 3 other people that acted like they were there when they weren't. They thought they were supposedly there. They didn't know anything that happened to her that night. Well, now they all know.